Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about habitats. Planet Earth is home to many unique habitats all over. You may be asking yourself, what is a habitat? A habitat is the natural home or environment a plant or animal lives in. But what kind of habitats are there? Well, there are many different kinds, but I'm going to talk a little bit about four. One is called the forest, where we find many evergreen trees, lots of moss. See here on the tree. We've even got some ferns, so lots of different animal and plant life. Animals, you probably would find a squirrel, chipmunk, maybe a grizzly bear. Another habitat, one that is mainly characterized by extreme temperatures and lack of rain, we call the desert. We even have habitats here underneath the ocean, where we see many fish and even coral reef call this place home. The last one I'll mention is home for the sly little alligator. We call this the swamp. Can you think of any other ones? You said the rainforest. You are absolutely right. Some other ones that you may not have thought of could be a pond, your backyard perhaps, or even a farm, where lots of different animals and plants call that space their home. So what do animals and plants need in order to survive? The basics for survival. For animals, it includes food, water, and shelter. For plants, air, water, nutrients, and sunlight. Each plant and animal has to have these certain things from their surrounding environment in order to live. Here we have a simple food chain that kind of just goes through the process of needing all those things and how it all works together. So the plants use air, water, nutrients from the soil, and the sunlight to produce its own food. Then we have a small little animal like this that feeds off the plants and gets energy. Then we have a bigger animal that would eat this animal and get its energy. When this animal eventually dies, it becomes fuel and energy for organisms such as mushrooms, which we call decomposers. The decomposers make the soil nice and rich in order for plants to continue growing. Again, to emphasize, all living things need, that's right, food to survive. Another thing that all living things need is, you guessed it, water. Now, something that all animals need to survive is shelter. Here we see a little burrowing owl that finds its shelter in the ground. It builds its own little tunnel in the dirt. Now, you may be saying to yourself, what else could an animal or plant possibly need to survive their habitat? When we think about all the things they have to deal with in their different home environments, we can think of really hot weather or really cold weather, maybe weather that's windy or stormy. Also think about smaller creatures that have to get protection or have to be able to protect themselves from predators. We call these things adaptations, or ways that they adapt to their environment. Adaptation is a characteristic or physical feature that helps the plant or animal survive in a particular environment. And all animals and plants have their own particular forms of way that they adapt to their environment to survive. For example, a polar bear has extra thick fur to survive the cold of the Arctic tundra, whereas the fennec fox has very large ears, as you can see, to help cool its body down in the desert heat. Two very different habitats, one that's extremely cold, no rain, and covered by mostly ice. You have an animal that has extremely thick fur to keep it warm, whereas this animal over here has very big ears to keep it cool because it's very hot. Here's another animal with really big ears. I'm sure you noticed that about this desert hare. But why do you think it has really big ears? I'm sure you've caught on by now. This animal also, like the fennec fox, has really big ears to help keep their body cool. Their ears are full of blood vessels that help regulate their body temperature. You can see some of the blood vessels here in this photograph. These are all different forms of adaptations among animals. Did you know that plants have adaptations too? A cactus, like this one, has spikes to protect it from being eaten and a waxy coat to keep in the moisture. Since most cacti live in the desert, there's not a lot of rain. So these spikes and the waxy coat help keep all the water that it does get in order for it to grow. Next, we have this plant with really broad, wide leaves, probably a plant you would see in the rainforest, and it gives it a boost in collecting sunlight for photosynthesis, which photosynthesis is the process in which plants make their own food. Here are a few more examples of adaptations. For animals, we have nocturnal animals. That means that they sleep during the day and hunt at night. Some animals that have camouflage, like for instance a chameleon. Bright color animals are extra bright to ward off their enemies, saying, "Danger, stay away," like really bright blue or yellow or red, particularly red. Then even poisonous animals use that again against predators. And then we have animals with unique size ears, teeth, or other body parts. Among plants, they have different abilities to store water, broad or narrow leaves, and short and long type of roots. These are all different kinds of adaptations. Some plants and animals cannot survive in a habitat that is not their own. If they were not naturally born or raised in that environment, they wouldn't be able to survive. For example, a polar bear would never be found in a swamp. A cactus would not be able to grow in the ocean. A whale could not survive in a pond, and an apple tree would simply dry up in a desert. Can you think of any example of a plant animal in a different kind of environment and how it would not survive? Well, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. That is the end of our presentation.